Okay, so I thought we should really start out by introducing the incoming AGs. And so I'll ask that, and I'm going to just give a particular order here, but let's give our names if you're new, and the club you come from, and maybe just a comment, like one sentence on what motivated you to accept the opportunity to become an assistant governor. And so I'm going to go in the order that you're on my screen, which will be different from everybody else's probably. And so I've got Frank Adamson coming up first.
Thanks so much, Ross. Good to see everybody. So why am I coming back as a assistant governor? I only served 2 years at Area 7 and then got involved with the governor's stream. So I backed off for the last year. So I felt that I shortchanged the district. So here I am to finish up and maybe add another couple of years to that. So I'm looking forward to coming back to be the AG for Area 7. And I guess it's a little reconfigured. I'm picking up the 2 of the Niagara Falls clubs. So looking forward to the year. Thanks, Ross.
Okay, thanks, Frank. So it was guilt that brought you back, was it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Tommy Weg, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tommy Weg, and I'm newcomer in Canada. I came in December here from Finland, where I'm a little bit in a same situation than Frank, because I was 1.5 years as an assistant governor. Then they took me to the governor stream, and I've been doing almost, you can say pretty much everything you can do for Rotary in Finland. I was even a general secretary of Finland's Rotary. But I'm new here. I'm just a member. I want to learn new things. I want to get familiar with new people and new ways to do Rotary, because it's totally different than it's done in Finland. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks.
We're looking forward to learning from you for sure.
Tommy, what club are you with?
Sorry?
What club are you in? An area?
Sorry. I'm in St. Catharines downtown.
Okay. Tracy, please.
Tracy Ford. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Leroy. This is my second trip around the sun as AG. I served Area 14 from 2014 through 2016, and I'm doing it again because Melissa Schrock and Lisa Bishop asked me to, and who can say no to those two? So I'm really excited to do it again.
Thanks, Tracy. Now, I had a hard time hearing Tracy. Did the rest of you as well?
We'll translate. She's just so happy to be back because she was asked and she missed being involved. So, right, Trace?
I heard Melissa Schrock's name mentioned there actually by Tracy. But, yeah. Okay, Melissa, you're on.
So this isn't going to fit in one sentence like anybody else's, but I was kind of guilted back into it. But as you guys know, I had to leave Rotary for a little while because of some health issues, and I knew I wanted to get back involved and knew I needed to take things slow. So this seemed like a really good fit for me. And for those of you that don't know, I technically live in Florida now, but I have remained, my heart is still in our district, and I look for unique ways to connect. And so I think that that's going to be really good with the role you've put me in for this year, which is trying to deal with satellite clubs and online clubs and things like that. And I just need to clear something up publicly. I will never be a Tampa Bay fan. I don't care if the greatest of all time quarterback plays there. The Bills are my boys. What it will always be, go Bills. So Keith, I hope I clear that up.
And Melissa, they're building a stadium without a roof in Buffalo. Isn't that just so appropriate?
That is the way it needs to be. And we can talk about that.
Yep.
Real football.
I remember the year that stadium filled up with snow, actually.
Yes, yes.
They carried it out with dump trucks. Okay, thanks, Melissa. Well, we've got 3 past district governors coming in as AGs, so they're going to keep us all on the straight and narrow, I'm sure. And but I hope the rest of you will continue to challenge them. So let's get into the discussion part. And I created a couple of discussion topics. I set aside about 15 minutes, but I'm hoping we can cut that down to about 10 minutes for each of those 2 discussions. And the first one is about small clubs versus larger clubs. And some of our clubs are getting smaller and some of our clubs are getting larger. But we have had comments from AGs in the past year about some of our smaller clubs feeling like they're being sort of swamped by the district asking them to do too much, and the AGs being expected to ask our smaller clubs to maybe carry the same burden that the larger clubs do. And so I thought it would be an appropriate discussion for us to have in small groups to ask the question, when we are working from the district level, whether it's as an AG or other district leaders, should small clubs be treated differently than large clubs? And if so, why and how? Okay. And so I'm going to just randomly break you up into 4 groups. And no, let's make it 3, and then we'll have less time reporting back. And so let me just see how to do that. And I'll give you 10 minutes, and I'll give you a warning after a minute, or when there's a minute left. Okay.
Somebody's walking up and down trying to ski a little more when they can, with their ski on their shoulders.
Yeah. Well, I think we got everybody back now, as soon as Aaron comes in anyway. Okay, well, I hope you get to know each of other a little bit through that. And but I'm curious to hear what conclusions you've come up with. So I don't remember who was in what group. So I'm going to ask Tommy Gervasi's group. Who's the spokesperson for that group?
Well, they let me do this because I have the big mouth and I'm not shy about giving my opinion.
No, he just had the most to contribute.
Oh, well, okay.
He does well.
You also had the biggest hat.
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
Oh, we said it's how you use the hat.
Well, for sure. At any rate, I had an interesting area because I had an area with a couple of big clubs that were well established and a couple of small clubs that were also well established. And I spent a good portion of my year trying to get people to buy onto the district initiatives, but was very strange with the small clubs was that I spent a good portion of the year with one of the small clubs telling them that they had worth and that they were not, you know, and that they were not being disrespected by the district and they were not being given tasks that were impossible. And, you know, the fact that they were saying, you know, we get 80% of our membership out for a task and we don't get credit for it because we don't make as much money or we don't get as many pounds of garbage out or whatever. And I had another group, another small club in our area that basically was saying, it's impossible for us to get any of these awards. So we're just not going to bother. They're of no worth to us. And we don't want to have anything to do with district because they just don't understand us and they don't care about us. And I spent a lot of time putting out fires between that, and which was difficult. I think part of it was that, and the other thing was, you know, that they found our area was also difficult because we had a situation where all of the groups are relatively close enough to each other and they're competing with each other for membership. So there wasn't really a lot of reason to want to cooperate. And this caused a lot of friction. So it was interesting, the amount of fires that I put out. I don't have an answer for it. I do know that small clubs are very different than big clubs. I don't know what to do about it, but I will simply say that when the district tried to address it, they allowed small clubs to define themselves. And we wound up, the small clubs wound up in a session with 20 member clubs monopolizing the conversation. And I'm sorry, but a 5-member club or a 6-member club is less like a 20-member club than a 20-member club is closer to a 30-member club or a 50-member club. And I don't have an answer for it. I just don't want the little clubs to give up. I don't want them to feel like they're not valued as Rotarians. We don't want them to say that what we do is of no import just because we can't make the goal, we can't achieve the kind of things that the bigger clubs can do. I think I've summarized pretty well what I had to say. And like I say, I'm not shy about rendering my opinion. I've ruffled a few feathers in the past by doing that. Anyway, I'm done.
Thanks, Tommy. And let's hear from the other two groups. Ryan, were you in Tommy's group or were you in another group?
I was in group 2. I think Melissa's our spokesperson on this one.
Okay.
So generally, we decided that clubs like the ones in Area 8, we should just cut them out of Rotary. And if you have 5 or less members, we should get rid of them too. And only focus on big clubs. I'm joking, of course.
What?
we really feel that Rotary, you're the same but different, okay? Like we all have a mission, donate to the foundation. All clubs should do that. Not all clubs need to give $10,000. Some clubs can give 10. We need to tailor the Rotary experience to what is appropriate for the club size we're dealing with. And we also need to really focus on what those smaller clubs that we're talking about right now, what is their root cause of their challenge? What are they really struggling with? Is it that there's too many roles they think they need? Do they not have enough people interested in stepping up to be chair? Ryan mentioned lack of bench strength. I think our responsibility as AGs moving forward is to help these clubs come up with creative ways that they can be a Rotary club, be productive Rotarians, and still feel like they're contributing as significantly as a club with 100 people. And obviously membership is important. I think that's always going to be important, whether you're a big club or a small club. But I think our job is to help these clubs find innovative ways, outside the box ways to still participate and feel they have the same value as another club of larger size.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Phil Race, is your group gone yet?
No, they have not. I think Aaron's probably the best spokesperson, although we didn't actually nominate him. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the issue of email communications and finding enough people to be in different roles for smaller clubs. The district's done a really great job on targeting emails to different types of roles and positions, so the president isn't the one getting all of the emails. But when you have a club with 5 or 10 members, sometimes it's the president and a couple others that are playing all the roles. So we talked about a solution that's being piloted in other areas as a regional governance type of model, where all the clubs, in the area might come together and have someone that's designated for foundation and someone that's designated for membership and so on. We talked about foundation and how that's really, we're asking all Rotarians to donate to the foundation. All of the goals and awards are per capita, so it does take larger and smaller clubs into account. And then we talked about the difficulty of getting the smaller clubs, it seems like, to see the larger picture. And we didn't really get to drafting a solution or some action steps to address that. We ran out of time, but that's what we've got. Feel free to jump in, team, if I left anything out or misstated anyone's opinion.
Thanks, Aaron. That's an interesting concept, the idea of a regional governance structure with individual clubs. And otherwise, it seems to me that all 3 groups agree on most of it, except unsure about the solutions to the problems that face small clubs. And there are people in our district that think small clubs maybe should be just allowed to die a natural death. And there is a limit to how much the district can do to help small clubs, I suspect, but I'm not sure where that limit is. And every club is in a different situation, aren't they? And they all need to be treated as individual challenges. And larger clubs have challenges too, sometimes just as big as the smaller clubs do. They're just different challenges, that's all. Okay, well, over the next year, maybe we'll have a chance to pick that discussion up and look at some possible solutions to some of those challenges. Let's go to the second discussion question then. What are the most significant concerns that clubs are facing in 2022? And so here we get the opportunity to talk about clubs of all sizes, and you may decide that size isn't the biggest problem that Rotarians are having these days even. Okay, so I'm sure 10 minutes will be enough for you to solve all those problems. So I'm gonna break you up into random groups again, and we'll come back in 10 minutes, okay? And so let's see, who have we got in group 1? Keith, who's your spokesperson from your group this time?
Well, Aaron's been great, so we'll let Aaron.
All right.
He's the guy who hasn't got the problems the rest of us have. So,
So succession planning came up and really resonated with a lot of the members, AGs in our group. Just finding that bench strength. Typically your treasurer, secretary are for life, but finding someone to do that 4-year commitment for presidency can be pretty difficult. Some of the solutions we brainstormed was a co-presidency where you have 2 presidents who split the responsibilities throughout the year. Another solution that came up was a 2-year term for each president. Something else that came up for us was financials and how do we get back to pre-COVID fundraising levels and even happy dollars, because a lot of clubs are doing hybrid and collecting those happy dollars isn't as easy as it is in person. Another thing that we talked about was strategic planning. Going post-COVID, a lot of our clubs will want to look at their strategic plan and hopefully pull in the support from the district to revamp that and set themselves on a good footpath for next year. And anything else?
Well done.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Your group isn't very good at following instructions, are they? You didn't select a spokesperson the first time, and the second time you
So that really was a direct. We thought Tommy was.
you thought that was a joke, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
But we didn't re-elect anybody because we didn't in the first hand elect anybody either.
Ah, really? Okay, well, group two then. Who's your spokesperson?
Who's group two?
Well, that's Lisa, Avery, Frank, Melissa, Paul, Ryan.
No, that's not us.
Here, I'll do it.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
So we talked that, sort of every question that we talk about tonight is going to start with membership. So, I mean, we're always trying to grow membership to give us more resources. So everything sort of starts there. And then we got really into the biggest thing is engagement. And it's, engagement in terms of the foundation, but even so much as trying to find proper meeting space, like a lot of clubs are going through that. When do you go live in person versus hybrid? And what do the events look like Aaron just said. So it's really, we're really struggling, I think, on a lot of clubs with, how do we actually re-engage and how does that look different just, coming out of COVID and acknowledging that, we're going to be in this for a while still. So that's really where we got to, Ross.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Did you talk? Did you get a sense that it seems that many of the American clubs were meeting in person before the Canadian clubs were? Is there a difference in that?
Yeah, Lisa talked in our group a little bit about that, and there's still our clubs that are still trying to figure out the hybrid model and whether they have the right technology. I think they are a little bit ahead, but I don't know, Lisa, if you want to jump in on top of that or not.
I think some of the US clubs, they may have been in theory able to meet sooner, but their members were not always willing to meet in person. And then so many of our places changed. One of the clubs in my area, they were meeting at one location. It was a breakfast club. They were no longer open for breakfast. I want to say for a little while, I shouldn't laugh, they were meeting at a funeral home. So,
Which funeral home?
In East Aurora.
Okay, I know that funeral home. My family's a Springville funeral home, so wise men.
Grand Island has now moved over to the Catholic Church, so the funeral homes aren't out. So they're meeting on a weekly basis in the Catholic churches.
But I will say to Frank, we were also talking about different locations, and you know what it was, they were paying it, what they were going to a beautiful place for a lovely breakfast at I don't know how much a person, and then they switched to stopping at Tim Hortons, grabbing a coffee and a donut and bringing it and meeting. At one point they were at a brewery that was opened for them in the morning. They weren't serving beer, but they met that way. So yeah. And then some clubs are still, their members don't want to meet in person, whether they're afraid of COVID or whether they've just got used to being at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's like a lot of workplaces, right? Employees are refusing to go back to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it will be interesting to see how that plays out after the COVID concerns are passed. Anyway, John, you've got a bit of a report.
Yes, we identified 2 areas of concern, and 3 of us, I'll mention attendance at meetings, as others have tonight, is the biggest area of concern, just because of COVID, basically, and what's already been mentioned by everybody, the fear of attending live meetings, and then the fear of doing anything technological. And so many of our memberships have both that fear, meeting, because of COVID, and they're afraid to, press a couple link buttons and go onto Zoom because it's something unfamiliar with them. So that has been a big thing. It's affected our attendance at our Ellicottville meetings. We're probably at 50% where we were at 80 to 90% prior to COVID. And Olean has really done good at, done a good job at making the hybrid meetings work. They have a good Zoom function that they can allow. They do lunch meetings every Tuesday afternoon. So people that are either not willing to meet in person or that, are at work and can't really attend the meeting live have that option available to them. And then those that want to meet live can, and they probably have 80% attendance, 80 to 90%. So that was the biggest concern. And then we also had mentioned the just membership in general, getting, not only keeping and retaining members, but recruiting new members is still a big concern. And then I'd ask if Tracy would like to. She was very specific in some things and some of the various different types of strategies that have been employed by different clubs to, make meeting attendance more amenable for more members. So Tracy, if you'd like to jump in and add to that.
Yes, thanks. So I just mentioned that our club, we have a population of older folks who were reluctant to meet in person, and again, technologically challenged when it came to trying to, use the hybrid model. For a while, we didn't host any meetings whatsoever. The location where we've been hosting our meetings for probably 15 years couldn't allow us into the building anymore. It was a senior living facility. So we tried several different venues. We had outdoor meetings, but when the weather changed, we couldn't host outdoor meetings. So we had a lot of change in the location as well as the models that we were using and trying to accommodate everyone. And for the first time in our history, we've actually switched to a breakfast meeting, which we're hosting 2 times a month. We just had our second meeting, and we've had probably triple the attendance that we've had in any of our meetings in the last couple of years. We're hosting at a restaurant that's not typically open for breakfast, so it's kind of exclusive to our membership to be able to go in there, and they're putting on a wonderful buffet breakfast for us. And so that's been very well received, and we do have, a wide variety of our membership is attending. And I'll also say that, we did touch on membership as well as being one of the challenges. And I think due to what happened with COVID and the lack of attendance that we had at our meeting, our club personally shifted more on retention of the existing membership than we did on trying to come up with new members, because we were really concerned about how do we engage the current membership that we have and bring them back and keep them. So, it's been challenging for everyone, but those are 2 of the areas that my club personally has had to deal with. And so I hope we're on the right track, and I think people are anxious to get back to some sort of normal, whatever that might be. And I think we're on our way. So.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. I'm sure it will be a new normal, and it sounds like you are on the right track. You've certainly tried lots of things, so you're being nimble and you're adjusting. And clubs that haven't been able to do that many of them are really hurting, I think. So, okay, well, that's interesting for sure. So let's go on to the next agenda item, the AG role description. And for those who are new in this role or haven't been in for a while, even Frank and Tracy, we've been using the role description that was active when you and I were all AGs at the same time, like 5 years ago. And so it was time to update it. And so we've taken a stab at that. And does everybody have a copy there on the screen or on a page in front of you? And so what I'm hoping is that with some discussion tonight, we can agree on a proposed draft that we can push up the chain. And I'm not sure whether district council would need to approve it or not, but somebody needs to approve it other than just us, I think. And so I want to open the floor for some discussion about whether there's things in there that should be changed yet, or whether you like what's there. Tommy, you got your hand up. Only you're muted.
I'm muted. It's a good thing. But anyway, item 10, about the assessment of the club on Club Central. Maybe I was out to lunch, but I've never actually been informed on how the heck to do this. As far as I can see, when I got on Club Central, the governor rated the club, and I talked to RI and they said, just put in a comment appended to what the governor said. I don't know, how do you do this? So if you're going to make this part of the assessment, at least I need to be told how to do this, because I can't figure it out, and Rotary International help has not been able to tell me how to do it.
Yeah, okay, that's a very valid comment. And as many of you have heard me before, I don't even have access to look at that stuff anymore. So they don't give the AG coordinator access to see what you guys can see. Aaron, I believe you offered at the last meeting to send out some how-to information about that, and I don't believe I received it.
The how-to is not a PDF. It is in Rotary My Learning Center, and I tried to print out. I tried to do a print
Something
screen,
wrong with the line.
and it wouldn't print out nice. So I can do a live demo real quick if you'd like, or we can do that at the next AG meeting.
Maybe at the next AG meeting, you can share your screen. Might be the best way to do that. Okay. So let's plan on that.
But just for what it's worth, it is not on Club Central. Is that correct?
No, it is. It is
It's
on
on Club Central.
Definitely.
It's where you do your goals. It's on the left-hand side called Club Ratings.
Where I do my goals on Club Ratings.
The
Okay.
district governor also has to do the rating as well, Tommy. So there should be comments there at some point from both. But
Yeah, but the assistant governor doesn't see them. District governor can see the assistant governor's comments, but the assistant governor probably don't see the district governor's comments.
Okay.
At least it was that way in my district, my previous district. I don't know how it is in 90, but Frank probably knows that.
Yeah, the governor can see the assistant governor's comments. I don't know if the assistant governors can see the governor's comments, but that really doesn't matter. I think what's important for the governor is that we're closer to the clubs, obviously, than the governor. And if there are issues, or if there are plaudits for that club, it's really, I found it very helpful for those assistant governors to put information in there from the past year to give me a sense of issues or strengths with the club. So I think it's important that we all do that. And we have access to our clubs in our area. You don't have access to any other clubs. The governor obviously has access to all of them.
Yep.
I think it's important, but as Aaron said, it's basically through Rotary Club Central on ratings. It's fairly easy to do once you know how to get there, but I think we could do that as a session for everybody if necessary.
Yeah.
You can put comments in at any time. The module I took on my Rotary Learning Center actually suggested AGs do it after each club visit, because you're going to visit them throughout the year, and you're going to forget stuff of what happened at your first visit. So they recommend going in and putting it in after each visit.
Yeah, it would certainly be helpful for the governor. There's no question. I really relied on that.
Yeah. Okay. Has anybody else experienced that problem? Any of the new, I guess, Paul, you're in your first year, aren't you? And Ryan as well.
Yeah, I haven't put any comments, but I've been on the site and I figured out how to move around it. So
yeah,
I think you just have to play. And once I did play with it a little bit, it started to become a little more intuitive.
Yeah.
And I think last year I filled out a paper form that I found somewhere deep in the bowels of the Rotary,
really,
which was probably totally useless.
That would be the old paper form that that was attached to this role description, probably.
That's probably where I found it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll bury those and we'll make sure everybody knows how to use the Club Central one, and that'll make, because somebody else had to input your information for you, Ryan, with the paper form. Okay. Other comments, please, about this role description? Is there anything that should be changed before we push it up the ladder?
I think
Ross, I've never been involved in a district council meeting. And what is a district council and why are we to be part of district council as voting members?
Well, that's a valuable question, Keith. And I'm not sure that I'm the best one to answer what is district council. It's actually changed a little bit just in the last year. It was the governance body for the district, but now that the district is incorporated, this for the first year ever, then there is a board of directors, which is the primary governance body, but district council is an advisory body to the governing board, and every one of the AGs is considered to be a voting member of district council and is invited to attend those meetings. And they're about 1 hour long, an hour and a quarter long, and there's usually a discussion about certain topics. There aren't reports or anything like that. They're discussion about not unlike what we've done really tonight, I'd say, only different topics probably.
Mm-hmm.
They have a strategic plan, district council, so the district governor is the chair of district council, certainly. Frank, what can you add to that?
Melissa's got a comment.
I was just going to ask if I could add to that a little bit.
Please do.
So Keith, the best way I could explain it, as your role as an AG, you're going to be like the first resource that clubs go to generally when they have a question. So at the council, they're the chair of membership, the chair of public image, the chair of foundation, they're all there. And as a member of the council, you receive a report of what every single area is doing. And then a lot of that discussion takes place during the meetings. And it's really great resource for you to just sort of get all kinds of information. And then when the clubs get their emails and go, oh my God, what is this they want me to do for foundation? You go, you know what, actually I was just at a meeting. And it's really just this simple. And it's kind of how you can kind of come in and calm the club president down who's about to pull out all his hair and say, it's really not that big of a deal. And on the flip side of that, you'll understand why, you know, hey, you've got to get your goals in a Rotary Club Central because they're actually trying to plan A, B, and C at the district level, and they need your data, they need your feedback, and you start to see the reason why. It's not because people sit around with nothing better to do but write emails about crazy things that clubs need to do. There's actually logic and reason behind it that's really quite valid. Is that a fair assessment, Frank?
Yeah, I believe so. It's a way for the leadership and the leadership chain, the district governor chain, for instance, to get information out to clubs via the assistant governors, because you guys are a lot closer to them than the governor is going to ever be. Strategic planning, I mean, that's something that's discussed at every single one. I mean, this is something that really happened in Melissa's year, that we finally got a viable strategic plan. I worked hard on it, Ann has worked hard on it to make sure that we have direction going out over the next number of years. So those are the things that are discussed at everyone. As Melissa said, each chair of each committee, or be that membership, foundation, PI, whatever, does a report. So if you're not there, you still get those and you can see them to see what's happening at a higher level, if you will. I think it's really important that we all attend those. At least, you know, there's 5 a year. There, as indicated by Ross, they're about an hour to an hour and a half in length at the most. We've really streamlined the whole process, but I think they're really important as a conduit for the hierarchy at the district to get back to the membership. And invite a president of a club to come to a council meeting. It gives them a better appreciation of what's happening at that level. And, you know, all of us need to be replaced somewhere down the line, and probably replaced by someone that has been a past president of a club. So if they have a better appreciation for council and what we're all about on, you know, the bigger, you know, from a higher altitude, there's more likelihood that they may jump in and become an assistant governor.
If I could, I'll add one more thing. So Aaron, you know, I'll use you as an example, Aaron. You brought up a comment earlier about regional governance. And I could really see that being a topic that goes to council for discussion. So Keith, what we would do is, you know, Aaron would bring that up, and we actually have breakout sessions as a group where we might spend 45 minutes talking about this topic. And it really gives you an opportunity to get into the meat and potatoes of the issue. And, you know, sometimes we come up with some really great ideas or solutions to move forward that you might then take back to a club you're dealing with, that this could really be a good fit for these 2 or 3 clubs over here. So it is a way for us to bring forward issues to the council to get a larger input on from everybody. So I think it's a great opportunity.
There's great two-way communication there, Keith. There's information flowing from council to the AGs, and there's information flowing from the clubs through the AGs to council. And so it's really an opportunity for people to get together and sit around the same table, whether it's virtual or not, and discuss what clubs need. Really.
Ross, there's another meeting that's going to happen this year. This is something that was started by Reg Madison in his year as governor, where he had the club presidents from either side of the river met for dinner, and just to discuss, you know, issues and so on and so forth. And that's going to happen again this year under Lisa's leadership. We haven't been able to do it over the past 2 years. And the assistant governors will be invited to that meeting. I think it's really important that you try to attend that dinner. There'll be one on the Canadian side and one on the American side. I found those very, very worthwhile. Basically, Melissa did it, Reg did it in their years, Bob Artis did it in his, and because of COVID, we didn't do it in my year or in Ann's year, but that's going to start again. And again, just a good opportunity to meet presidents of clubs on either side of the border. So that'll be in September.
September. Okay, good. We'll get that date solidified and
At least just working on that right now. I know it's going to be at Betty's restaurant in Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. I'm not sure where it's going to be in the American side, but they're just working through that right now.
Yeah. Okay, good. Any other comments or questions from, I guess Keith is the only, other than Tommy, I guess, the only new AG here that hasn't been heavily involved at the district level over the past several years. So, Tommy, what questions do you have related to this role?
It's actually quite hard to say because I visited Niagara-on-the-Lake like 3 years ago. St. Catharines I visited. Today was the first meeting in 1.5 years I couldn't attend because we are so busy with opening the store. So I really didn't have time to go there, but otherwise been quite much there. And I think I visited 3 years ago, also the Lakeshore, but the South I haven't visited, not a single time. So I'm still on the way to learn. So I really want to know the clubs before I can say something. And about the administration, I really don't have such much to say, but about the regional, what you guys were talking about. So we used to have that kind of system in my district, in my previous district there in Finland and Estonia, that we had a DGN who was responsible for the committee work. And then we had DGE, who was responsible for the AGs. So they were reporting every time we had a council meeting that what was happening, and that was the way of working, because if you expand the board too much, so the meetings will be quite a hassle. So that's why we coordinated it that way. But in Canadian spirit, so I think it's not going to be a hassle.
Well, we'll have other hassles instead, probably, Tom.
Yeah. Mm.
I think
Let's see how it goes.
I think the best thing we did was go for a coordinator role for the district governors, and Bob Morrow and Kevin Crosby basically put that together. Yeah. And Bob did a wonderful job, and Ross is doing a great job as well. And so to have someone specifically working with us, I think is really, really beneficial. As you said, Tommy, it used to be that the AG, assistant governor nominee, or allowed to have responsibility for the coordination of this group, and they got too much on their plate. So to have this as a specific role, I think has worked out really, really well.
Yeah, I don't doubt about that.
Yeah,
and Ross is even a nice guy.
Well, wait till you get to know me.
Nice guy.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Anybody? Are we ready to push this up, Aaron? Go ahead.
I do have a comment. It's not a duty or responsibility, but I get more so of a quality. You know, in healthcare, we've got person-centered care. I think in Rotary, we need to have club-centric care. I think it's important to meet the clubs where they're at and to be respectful of their culture, and not necessarily, I've heard this, drive district initiatives down to the clubs. I think you really got to get to know your clubs, know what interests them and what you can align with them, and not be so pushy, but be really mindful and of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's critical. Now, when I was drafting this role description, I was trying to emulate that tone, but I'm not sure it came through the way it should have. Can you offer?
I appreciate the language you used. I thought it was very invitational recommendations. I thought it came out well. I just wanted to make sure that was emphasized, because I've heard that quite a bit over the last couple of AG meetings, is that some clubs feel like we're pushing things down to them. And I don't think that's the role of the AG, is to push things, but more to facilitate communication and alignment with their strategic plan.
Yep. And I will suggest, if I may, that some clubs will probably always feel like we're pushing things on them, even though that's nobody's intent. So you can't please everybody any of the time, I think, probably, but I know that the district leadership doesn't want to be in the position of pushing things on clubs. There's a couple of raised hands. Who is it? Pat, thanks. Yeah.
Ross, back to Aaron's comment there. I look at that number 1 you have there, where it says maintain close contact with the president of each club, but you might also want to say and the members of the club. And that's where I think that I kind of get that from Aaron, knowing what the people are in the club are. And so, I mean, not just knowing the president, but get to understand the members.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's easy to add. Thank you.
And I think if we're visiting those clubs 4 times a year, that's part of the reason for that, is so that we can actually get to know some of the members within the club and some of the leadership roles within the club as well.
Yep.
I think that's really important we do that.
Tommy Gerbasi, your hand is up, and so is Lisa's, I gather. Are you muted, Tommy?
Okay, my hand shouldn't be up there. It looks like it's left over from a previous thing. I'm going to shock everybody and shut up.
I lowered it for you then. How about you, Lisa?
I did raise mine intentionally. And I agree with Aaron and with, I think, Pat, who said that. I think that first sentence where it says the maintain close contact, maybe you could wordsmith that to say, get to know each club. And again, it says to be aware. And the first thing we have is to be aware of the issues. Maybe we could change that to be aware of the personality, because each club does have a little bit of its own personality. Sometimes their personality is issues, but maybe just changing that word, getting to know the president, the members, be aware of their personality, activities, goals, and then put issues at the end.
Club culture, maybe?
Yeah, club culture.
Yeah, yeah. Very similar to personality, I would think. Yeah. Good, thank you. Okay, well, let's go on to the last agenda item then, and I'm going to just share my screen here for 2 or 3 minutes. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
I got to put it in show mode here if I can. Okay, so we do have some changes this year. As I mentioned, we've got eight of the assistant governors are switching out, and but also Area 9, so that's your area, Pat, and I believe you're aware of this, is being changed significantly. And Area 9, and that's now Melissa is going to be in that role come July. And so Melissa's responsibility will be for e-clubs and new club innovation. And then the 3 clubs in Area 9 are being redistributed into areas 6, 7, and 8. And so there will not be one fewer area. It's just that one of those areas, Area 9, will be a sort of a specialized role and will not be dealing with or won't be based on geography at all. Would be based on other things.
Ross,
Okay.
does that includes Grand Island, Niagara County Central, and Niagara Falls, USA, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to go through each of these now. I guess yeah, it doesn't matter if this is over there. What's important here, so in Area 1, there's no change other than Keith Jones is going to be the assistant governor next year. In Area 2, there's no change with Phil there. In Area 3, there's no change with Ryan, the same clubs there. Area 4, Paul, there's no change there. Area 5, Sue wasn't able to attend tonight, but there's no change there. But in Area 6, Tommy's, we're adding Niagara on the Lake. So taking Niagara on the Lake from the other Tommy's area and moving it over in with the 3 St. Catharines clubs. And then in Area 7, Frank is in that seat come July, and we've added Niagara Falls, Ontario, and Niagara Falls Sunrise to Frank's area. And then in Area 8, Tommy Gerbasi has the 3 clubs that were in Area 9 before, Pat, along with Fort Erie and Lewiston, Niagara on the Lake. Okay, and then Area 9 we've talked about. There's no change in the other areas. Sue Cerny is the AG for Area 10. Izzy Abdallah is taking Scott Marson's place in Area 11. And Aaron has agreed to sit for 1 more year. And so thank you, Aaron, for that. Lisa Avery, there's no change there for you. And I might comment some people won't understand why you've only got your last name. I've got a granddaughter, Avery, but that's just to make it easier so that there's only one Lisa in this community, right? And that's our incoming district governor. But I'm still going to call you Lisa anyway. I hope you don't mind. Tracy is taking over in area 14. John, John, your term was to be up this year, but I haven't heard that there's any change there. They haven't talked you into serving another year.
Well, here's what's kind of happened. I'm still trying. You know, there's nobody. Trust me, I've tried everything with my own club, Ellicottville, and we're just so small. And the people that, you know, either aren't already in office or whatever, just didn't want to do it at this point. I still think we have a chance with Paula Bernstein, the president of the Olean Club, but I also want to make some more efforts with their club to see if there isn't somebody. I mean, as I said earlier in a breakout session, one we had earlier tonight, it's the easiest AG job in the district because there's only 2 clubs. So administratively, it's very simple to write 2 reports every few weeks or months and this and that and the other. So I'm obviously a poor salesman, and geez, that's what I did my whole life. But so I'm willing to stay on board as long as need be, if we can either find a replacement or what. I guess the only other alternative would be to merge us with the Chautauqua area, but I hate to do that. I like this as an area, so I will definitely stay on board until we can, you know, resolve the situation with a replacement. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, John. We'll continue that discussion, or you will, with the DG chain. Anyway, I'm not really that involved in that discussion, but I appreciate knowing where you're at with that.
Okay.
And then in area 16, Linda Blodgett sent her regrets. She had a previous commitment and couldn't attend tonight, but will be taking over from Michelle there. Okay, so any question about any of that realignment? I'll be sending this out as a list to everybody, so everyone has the details.
Ross, where do the Rotaract clubs come in here?
Oh, yeah. Well, they were on the last slide that I forgot to go to. Thanks, Frank. Yeah. And actually, Emma was expected to attend this meeting tonight, but Tajal is going to school over in England. And so I know that, and maybe, I don't know whether you've been part of this discussion, Frank, or not, but the Rotaractors have been selecting their own AGs since that position started a year ago. And I believe Lisa Bishop has been challenged to find out exactly what their plans are for this year. So I think we're going to need another 3 or 4 weeks to sort that out, probably. Okay. That's why I didn't go to that last slide, because I didn't want to give you the black screen. Okay. Oh, there's Lisa. Lisa, you don't have any updates on the Rotaract AG, do you?
No, stand by, as they say. They have their process, and as everyone knows, Rotaract, as of July 1st, are members of Rotary. So when we say members, I just want to say that we say members, it's Rotaract and Rotarians. We're all members as of July 1st. But no, I'm waiting. So to understand the process and how they are in self-electing, and then it gets confirmed. That's what happens. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. And for those who are new to the process, which is pretty much Tommy and Keith, I believe, Rotaractors come, when is it? January, have to pay $5 per member. And so their membership will need to be on Club Runner, or sorry, on Rotary Club Central, and their officers will need to be there, and so on. So it's going to be quite a change for them, and so we may need to offer them some help to sort through that, but we kind of have to wait until they ask for help, I think, on that. So. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to raise before we adjourn? I'll point out that our next meeting, and everyone on the call here is invited to attend. Our next meeting will be, and it'll be at the last meeting of the year, on the Tuesday, the 24th of May. And that's not the normal time, many of you will realize, but Memorial Day kind of got in the way, so we had to reschedule that date. So.
Time is that, Ross? 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock, Frank. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be sending out a message soon about that. Phil, was your hand up?
Yes, it is. I'd like to just quickly say that there's been two inspiring things for me this evening and throughout the last year. One is it looks like Bob Stevenson is retiring. I'm 68 years old. Bob was my homeroom teacher in grade 13. So he's been around for a year or two. And Bob, I thank you for everything you've done. It's also amazingly inspiring to see both Frank and Melissa stepping into the roles as assistant governors. I'm awestruck.
I'm doing backflips. And we have Tommy Wegg, who's a past district governor from Finland and Estonia, serving. And I'm also delighted my friend Tracy Ford is serving again, because I've known Tracy. We co-chaired Melissa's district conference and got to know her then. I'm just really thankful she's coming back and has time that she's able to step back. Just really exciting times.
Well, I'm excited about the team going forward. I'm not as excited as you were, Phil, to see people like Bob Stevenson leave us, though. And so we're
Thank you
losing,
very much for the kind words.
We're losing some great
To both of
people
you.
from this team, but we're adding others. And so we don't want it to be a sentence that lasts more than 3 years, but Aaron and John are both willing to give it a 4th year at least. So thanks very much for that. And, okay, well, let's call it a day. And I really thank you for your attention and participation and your great input on that role description, especially. And hope to see you all in another 3 weeks or so at the next AG meeting. Okay.
Great. Thanks. Nice job.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Ross. Thank you.